Hey guys, welcome to Algebra 1. Today's lesson is going to focus on how to use your graphing calculator to check the factors of your polynomial. You ready to get going? Let's start. Okay, so before I tell you about how to use the calculator, I'm going to step back a bit and show you how to use algebraically, how to verify your factors. So look at this example. Verify that x plus 4 and x plus 5 are factors of x squared plus 9x plus 20. So if you remember, we can always just multiply our factors together and make sure that our answer is the polynomial that they gave us. Okay, so for example, I've got x plus 4 and x plus 5, and I can just FOIL this out. I'm going to write FOIL over here just to keep me straight. Okay, so x times x for my first terms in each group. That's x squared. Then O, so my outer terms. So x times 5. That's 5x. Then I for my inner terms. So 4 times x. I've got 4x. And then L, so my last terms. So 4 times 5. And that's 20. And then if you remember, you look at your terms, and it was always the middle terms that were alike, so you could combine those. So if you combine your 5x and your 4x, that's 9x. So you've got x squared plus 9x plus 20. And so if you compare that against the trinomial they gave us to start with, it's the same one. It's the exact same one. So that's how you know that you did the problem correctly. Now, there's also a way that you can use your graphing calculator to make sure that you have the right answer, to make sure that your factors are actually correct. Okay, so let's look at this example. Which of the following represents x squared minus x minus 6 factored completely? Okay? All right, so now we're going to go ahead and pull out our calculator so I can take you through the steps of how to use it. Okay. Now, the first thing I always do when I get my graphing calculator is I clear the memory, because you don't know what was already in there, and you just don't want it to mess up what you're trying to do now. So in this type of calculator, you'd press second up in the upper left corner, then hit your plus sign right here. Anytime you press second, it's going to give you whatever function is written above the button. So if you look above your plus sign, it says MEM. That stands for memory, because I want to pull up this menu that's going to let me clear the memory in my calculator. And then if you look at the list, you see number 7 is reset. So I'm going to go ahead and press 7. And all RAM, that's what I want to clear. And then reset. So now my memory is all clear. So now I'm good to go. What we want to do now, if you look at that very top row of your calculator, the first button on the left, that's y equals. Go ahead and press that. And it's going to pull up a list for you where we can enter in equations that we want to graph in our calculator. Okay? So if we look back at what our problem was that we were dealing with, we see that the trinomial that they gave us to start with was x squared minus x minus 6. I'm going to enter that in the calculator first, okay? And let's take a look at what that looks like. All right, let's get that calculator back up. So x squared minus x minus 6. Okay, so I've got that all entered in. And if you missed where the x button was in the calculator, it's right beside alpha, right beside that green button. That's where your x button is. And how I got my exponent, that x squared, right, okay, stay on that column where second is and scroll, well, not really scroll, but move down, and you see your x squared button, and that's how you can get your exponent up there, up 2. Okay, so now that I have that all entered into y1, I'm going to press graph, and let's look at the graph of this trinomial. Okay, so if you look at it, you see it takes the shape of a U. In math, we call that a parabola. And every second degree equation, so any equation where the highest exponent is 2, it's going to take that U shape. It's going to always graph in the shape of a parabola. So how we're going to use this graph is we're going to leave this one here, and then we're going to plug in all our answer choices into y2. and we're going to see when our graphs overlap. Okay? Let me show you what I mean. So if we look back at our problem, we were asked to check these three sets of factors to see which one was the right one. So now that I have the trinomial entered into the calculator for y1, the first thing I'm going to do is enter in this first answer choice into y2. So this x minus 5, x minus 1, I'm going to go ahead and put that in the calculator and see what that graph looks like. Okay, so let's get that calculator back. Let me remember this, x minus 5, x minus 1. So back to my calculator, I'm going to press that y equals button again. I'm going to arrow down to y2, because that's where I want to enter in this one. Open up my parentheses right there above 8, and I've got x minus 5, close the parentheses, x minus 1, and close them. Now before I press enter, you notice we have these different colors over here. Our first equation graphed in blue. This one's going to graph in red. Red's a little harsh to look at on the screen, so I'm going to change that color. I'm just going to keep pressing the left arrow until I get over to that little red square. Okay, I'm going to press enter, and I'm going to change the color from red to black. It's a little softer on the eyes. Okay, so it's going to graph in black now. Let me press enter, enter, enter. Okay, we're good to go. So look back one more time before we hit graph. We've got the trinomial in the first, in y1, and then we have that set of factors in y2. Okay, so let's look at the graph. Go ahead and press graph. So you see our trinomial is already there, and there's our first answer choice, that x minus 5, x minus 1. And if you look at it, you can see it didn't overlap. That blue graph, the blue parabola, and the black parabola did not overlap each other. So what that tells me is that those factors, that x minus 5, x minus 1, are not the factors for that trinomial. Because if they were, it would have completely overlapped it. It would have traced right over that blue graph. Okay? So that tells me A is not the answer. Okay? So I'm going to look back at our next answer choice and see what that was, because that's the one I'm going to try next to see if it overlaps. Okay, so for B, we had x minus 4x plus 8. So I'm going to try that one. All right. So back to my calculator. Remember this one, x minus 4, x plus 8. Okay, back to the calculator. I'm going to press y equals. I'm going to leave that first one in there, but I'm going to clear out the second one. I'll press clear. And I need x minus 4, x plus 8. Okay. So now again, I've got the trinomial in there. It's going to come up blue, and I need to see if this black parabola is going to overlap that blue one. And if it does, then that's the right answer. So go ahead and press graph. There's the first one, okay, and there is the second one. Okay. So now if you look, you see our blue one like it's always been there, and the black one, you don't see the bottom of the U. That just means it's somewhere way down here on my graph, and I just can't see it. Now, later on in Algebra 1, I'm going to show you how to adjust your axes, your x-axis and your y-axis, so that you can see that whole graph. But for right now, all we need to really pay attention to is that this black graph clearly did not overlap the blue one. Okay? So what that tells me is B is not the answer. Those are not the right factors for that trinomial. Okay? So let's look at C, which process of elimination, it should be the answer, but you know we got to check it. Okay, so I'll look back at my problem. Okay, and for C, it's x minus 3, x plus 2. So then I'll try that in the calculator and see what that is. Okay, so let's remember that, x minus 3, x plus 2. Go back to our calculator, press y equals. All right, let's clear that one out. And x minus 3, x plus 2. Okay, so we've got that in there. Let's go ahead and press graph. Wait for it. Okay, so there's the blue one. And there's the black one. So you see now we don't even see the blue one anymore. All we see is that black parabola, because it did indeed completely overlap the blue one. So what that's telling me is that C is the answer. The correct factors for that trinomial or x minus 3 and x plus 2. Okay? So that is how you can use the graphing calculator without having a FOIL and still be able to verify what your answers are. Let's go ahead and circle that one for this one, that C was the answer for that one. Okay? All right, let's try another one. Which of the following represents x squared minus 3x minus 10 factored completely? Okay, so if you think back to what we did a second ago on that other problem, we started out by entering in the trinomial that they gave us. So that x squared minus 3x plus 10, I need to get that in my calculator for y1. Okay, so I'm going to switch and look at the calculator. Let me get that in my memory, x squared minus 3x minus 10. Okay, I'm going to press y equals. Let's clear that out. X squared minus 3x minus 10. And I'm going to clear y2 because I just want to look at that first graph first. That other one was from the old problem. Okay, so then we see that parabola right there. So the bottom of the U is kind of cut off a bit, but we've got an idea of what it looks like. That's going to be the parabola for our trinomial. Okay, so now I'm just going to check our answer choices against this parabola and see which one's going to overlap it. Okay, so let's look back at our problem and see what A was, so we know what we're going to plug in there first. Okay, so for A, our factors were x plus 5, x minus 2. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and put in y2. Okay, so x minus 5, or x plus 5, x minus 2. Let's get that in there. Oops, cleared that out by accident. X squared minus 3x minus 10. All right, so x plus 5, x minus 2. Okay, so now let's see if these graphs overlap or not. All right, go ahead and press graph. All right, so there's our first one. And let's look at where the second one shows up. Well, we can already see it didn't overlap it. So that's telling us those are not the right factors for that trinomial. Okay, so let's go back and let's check B. Let's see what the factors for B were. Okay, let's look back at our problem. All right, so for B, let's go ahead and mark out A, because we know it's not A. Okay, so for B, we have x minus 9, x minus 1. Okay, so let's see if those are the factors. X minus 9, x minus 1. Let's go back to the calculator. Let's press y equals. All right, go down to y2. Let's clear that out and put in x minus 9, x minus 1. Okay, so now we've got that in there. Let's go ahead and press graph. All right, there's the trinomial. Let's see how these factors show up. Wait for it. Okay, sometimes it takes a calculator a minute to think. Okay, so you can see that's not it either. Those parabolas didn't overlap each other. All right, so let's go back. It has to be C, but let's double check it. Look back at our problem. Do you think maybe I'm making the answer C a few times to make you go through it? I am. Okay, so C, let's look and see what that is. All right, we know it's not B. C is x plus 2, x minus 5. Okay, so let's put that in there. Let's see what that one looks like. X plus 2, x minus 5. Look at our calculator. Let's go to y equals. Go to y2. Let's clear out those factors. And we need x plus 2, x minus 5. All right, so let's press graph, see what it looks like. All right, there's the trinomial. Let's see how these factors show up. And if you look, it completely traced that blue parabola. So that's telling me that those are the right factors for that trinomial, okay? Because I can see that their graphs are the exact same thing. All right? So let's look at this one. We've got 3x minus 4 is one of the factors of 3x squared minus x minus 4. What is the other factor? Okay, so this one is set up a little differently, but essentially we're doing the exact same thing. They're telling us this is our trinomial, this 3x squared minus x minus 4, and they're going ahead and giving us a head start. They're saying this is definitely one of your factors. Now, which one of these is the other one? Okay, so that's what we need to figure out. So let's go ahead and get 3x squared minus x minus 4 in the calculator. Okay, so I'm going to look at my calculator. Let's get that calculator up. Go to y equals. Okay, let's go ahead and clear this out. We don't need this anymore. It's from the old problem. Okay. All right, I'm going to look back to make sure I remember what my problem was. And it's 3x squared minus x minus 4. So I'm going to go ahead and get that into y1. 3x squared minus x minus 4. Calculator. 3x squared minus, got that in y2, need that in y1. There we go. 3x squared minus x minus 4. Okay, so I've got the trinomial in there. I'm going to go ahead and press graph to get an idea of what it looks like. Okay, so there it is. So this is the trinomial I'm going to try to match up to. I want to find the pair of factors that when I graph them, they're going to completely overlap that parabola. Okay, so let's look back at our problem. So to enter this in the calculator, this is what I need to do. When I want to see if A is the answer, I already know 3x minus 4 is definitely a factor. So this one I know, 3x minus 4. I want to know if the other factor is x plus 4. So those pairs, or that pair of binomials, that's what's going to go in y2 for me to test out A. Because I know 3x4 is a factor, I need to see if x plus 4 is the other one. All right? So I'm going to go back to the calculator, and in y2, I'm going to put 3x minus 4, x plus 4. Y equals y2, 3x minus 4, x plus 4. All right, go ahead and press graph. Let's see what that looks like. That's not it. Okay, you can tell it starts further to the left, comes down much lower. It doesn't overlap the blue parabola. So that's telling me A is not going to be the answer for this one. So I'm going to go back to my problem and see what B was to see if B is the answer. Okay, so back to my problem. All right, so I'm going to cross out A because I know A is not it. Now, if it's B, then I'll be entering in, all right, 3x minus 4, x plus 1, okay? So I'm going to put this in y2, 3x minus 4, x plus 1, and see if that's the right pair of factors, okay? So I'm going to go back to my calculator and enter in 3x minus 4, x plus 1. Go to y2, going to arrow over to the right. Okay, so I'm going to show you a shortcut for this one. Because I know I want the 3x minus 4 to stay, I'm not going to clear this out. I'm just going to keep arrowing over to the right, and I'm going to type over what I need to change in the second binomial. Okay, so I've already forgotten what that factor was. So let me go back and look at the problem. All right, so I need to change that second binomial to x plus 1. All right, so let me go back to my calculator and change that to x plus 1. So I'm going to type over that 4, change it to a 1. Now let me go ahead and press graph and see what this looks like. All right, there's the trinomial. Let's wait on those factors to come in. There they go. Okay, so if you look, all you see now is a black parabola because it completely traced over that blue one. So that's telling me that's the right pair of factors. It's B. So I'm going to go back to my problem. And I know that the answer is B. Okay? All right. It is now your turn. Let me get this out of your way down here. So take a look at this one. Go ahead and press pause, get your graphing calculator going, and see if you can figure out if it's A or if it's B or if it's C. Which one of these is going to be the answer for this one? And when you're ready to compare with me, go ahead and press play. All right, let's see how you did. Now, I'm not going to tell you the answer right away this time. I'm going to go through the problem and see what we get. All right, so I know this is my trinomial. It's 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. So let me get that in my calculator. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. 2x squared plus 11x plus 12. I'm going to clear out y2, because that was from the old example. I'm going to press graph. I'm going to see what that looks like. All right, I got an idea. Now I'm going to look back at my problem, and let's see which one of those is the right answer. Okay, so if it's A, let's see. Get my pen going here. I'm going to write out my factors so I know what I'm putting in the calculator. I know that x plus 4 is a factor. So this I know. And I need to see if 2x plus 3 is the other pair, or the other factor. Okay, so that's the first thing I'm going to enter into y2. X plus 4, 2x plus 3. Let's see what it looks like. X plus 4, 2x plus 3. X plus 4, 2x plus 3. Okay, so I've got that in y2. I'm going to go ahead and hit graph. And let's weigh it. What do you know? This one was A, okay? That black parabola completely overlapped the blue one. So what that's telling me is that those are the right pair of factors for that trinomial. So let's look back at our problem. We can go ahead and circle the answer. For this one, it is A, okay? So if you got A, you got that one right. All right, guys, I hope you have a strong understanding now of how to use your graphing calculator to verify the answers to your factors. And I hope to see you back here soon. Bye.